Take a good look at these creatures. Now, these sketches look intentional, like I planned every muscle, bone, before the pencil was even down. But they didn't start that way. They started like this. Most artists are terrified of the blank page because they think they need to have a perfect idea before they start. So I'm going to prove that you don't. Today, I'm going to teach you how to see the monster inside the mess. So here's what I want all of you to do right now. I want you to think of a humanoid shape. You don't have to be a master at anatomy. I'm not asking you to do any fan art or anything of that nature. But what I do want you to do is think about something human-like, arms, legs, could be tall, short, and we're going to make this scary. Now, when it comes to being scary, I tend to like using sharp shapes, spikes, horns, something along those lines where it feels otherworldly, but also it can hurt you. Now, this first sketch up here, you can clearly tell that it is humanoid. We have long, gangly arms, and then we have hind legs right here, or just bipedal legs. Kind of human, but not really. Nothing is defined in here. We have a bulbous, rounded head. We're going to make this sucker scary here in a second. I just want you guys to work off of 3 thumbnails today. All right, so this first phase that we're doing is called the ghost phase. And we're probably going to be sketching ghosts too. Okay, so you can see that I'm keeping my pencil very sharp. Now, if it gets dull at any point, I have my electric pencil sharpener up here. I'm using an X-Acto pencil sharpener. You can use a handheld one if you want. Those are always good. Now, these shapes that I'm putting in here, I'm not thinking, oh no, I screwed up the anatomy. The chest is wrong, or the arms, or anything like that. No. What I care about is, do these silhouettes, as scribbly as they are, do they read well? Take a look at all of your drawings right now. We're working on our second one. Are they distinguishable so that you know that they're humanoid, or do they have shapes on the outside where something interesting is happening? So see this one right here. I'm just scribbling the shape in. Am I thinking about a head, or am I thinking about a leg in my head? Yes. I'm not thinking about perfect thigh, knee, shin, or ankle anatomy. No. Look at that third leg I just put there. The fourth leg I just put there. Maybe I'll do a strange arm coming down here. There's a lot of possibilities happening in there right now. Look at all of these different avenues that I could take. This is so much fun. This is why it's the ghost phase. We don't really know what it is. It kind of looks like an apparition. We haven't really made out any details yet. All right, we're already on our third one. Stick around. I'm going to teach you how to extract shapes inside there, or I'm going to teach you how to extract shapes from each one and tell you where the shadows go, where the highlights go, and where the details should go. All right, let's keep going. Remember, ghost phase. Okay, the third one. What could we do here? Why don't we do something very strange, like a triangle head? Not really sure what's going on here. Didn't want to do Pyramid Head from Silent Hill, although that would probably be a good lesson, huh? Comment below if you guys want to see me draw a Pyramid Head. I think that'd be kind of cool. Man, we sure are at this alien theme. Look at these long arms right here. I'm going to put some spikes on there. Trying really hard not to have these look like the aliens in War of the Worlds or Independence Day. So this just screams tripod. You guys know what I'm talking about. The Spielberg War of the Worlds movie, the big tripods, those things were awesome. So we might have to change the legs up a little bit here. But here we go. We have 3 awesome designs, or we have 3 scribbles that we can work off of. Now, when it comes to details, let me sharpen my pencil. Now, when it comes to details, always start with the head. Why? because the head is typically where the emotion is going to lie. It doesn't have to have a mouth. It doesn't have to have eyeballs. It doesn't even have to emote. But what it does have to have is it has to have like a frame of reference here. So if it's humanoid, with a humanoid type head or shape, we at least know, oh, this area is relatable. What if we put a little ear there or something? But remember, we're going scary. So I'm going to put a spike here, maybe a horn there. And when I'm doing this, I am thinking about perspective. For now I am. For example, like let's say this horn right here is a little longer than the one over to our left. That's because at this angle, if I draw construction lines going down to our left to an eventual vanishing point off of the page somewhere, those will line up nicely. They don't have to be perfect. No. Okay, so it looks like a strange shoulder right there. I feel like I'm drawing a beast from Silent Hill or something. I'm not sure yet. But what's fun about this phase is the shadows that we put in can be so sparingly used and just in little areas, but it makes huge body parts just pop off. So let me show you an example here. See this little shadow area right here? If I darken that, pretty dark, and then I fade that off, it immediately looks like an armpit, doesn't it? Because then this area hanging down could be the arm. And I think it is, and I'm just going to sharpen it. Pretty freaky. Pretty freaky. All right. So, when we do a phase like this, we want to think about bone structure, but at the same time, we also want to think about muscles. Okay, the bones, those are the areas that are really going to pop off. So see how my pencil is just kind of doing small little scribble marks and floating around this creature. I want you guys to do the same, but I don't want you to fixate on an area and go, oh, I guess all the hair has to be there, and then all the scales, and then all the spikes have to come out there. Like, don't do that. Just worry about tiny little areas that will make larger body parts pop off. See this big head right here? Underneath here could be a cast shadow on the chest of a very, very massive chin. Okay, and it looks like that could be the mouth. Maybe the eye could be right in there. Now we can start to see a face emerge. Just very weird. It almost looks like a camel spider, which is kind of gross. But I think I'm going to round the neck off here and then maybe accentuate that spike. I want to avoid 45-degree angles because I don't want this to be sci-fi. Remember, this is horror. Or, well, I take that back. It could be sci-fi horror. Just mix the two together. I think that would work. Now, one thing I love doing to make things truly scary is adding massive teeth right where the mouth would be located. So look down at your creatures right now and ask yourselves, is it looking deadly? Or, if it is, great. If it's not, when in doubt, add sharp things. And what better to add than sharp spikes? Okay, there we go. Notice how I put a lot of emphasis on these curvatures. That's what I'm interested in. Big, huge, gangly shapes like this, it tends to bring out the weird factor. And since this thing is scary, weird and eerie and scary together, it's a pretty fun combo. All right, so remember what I said about how if we focus near the head, we'll be able to bring out a lot of neat shapes. And I think that's what we're going to do here. Okay, so these little areas where I'm putting in black dots or dark dots, those could be little eyeballs maybe, or indication of like a spider-like eye or head. I'm not really sure yet. Yeah, so much fun. Okay, if you're scribbling along with me, I want you to ask yourself, what kind of creature are you drawing? What is its purpose? Is it a hunter? Is it, something that deals with surveillance? Kind of just a roamer, troublemaker? Who knows? So notice here how I'm putting some feet on it. 3 toes, but I'm kind of webbing the middle one. There we go. Maybe some curved nails. Not going too in depth on this one. Don't really know yet what's going on with his body. Maybe there's like a belly here. We're not really interested in what's going on with the rest of the body. But, we're adding all these harsh shapes. As I'm drawing this thing, it occurred to me that this would be one weird looking demon. But I don't want there to be a tail. That's to kind of throw off the norm. Alright, so as I'm whipping around these shapes, I think it's safe to say that the scythe-like arms you want to stay clear of. And it's just one claw, so who knows what this thing is. But what I'm doing now is I'm putting some shading up on this head. And I want to bring forth the cheek right there. Maybe that's the eye, the main eyeball. And then this would be like an ear spike. Or maybe the back of the head is, it has some sharp parts. Maybe some hair flowing in the back. This thing is nightmare fuel, basically. All right, now we're getting somewhere. Pointy hair. They could be little stalks. Kind of looks like cordyceps, or if you've seen that movie Mama, you'll know that ghost in there has like a pretty scary floating female ghost, like a banshee almost. Those little eye stalks poking out. I didn't even mean to do that until just now, so that's kind of cool. So much fun. This body, I'm not really worried too much about perfect anatomy here. Just to indicate maybe where chest is and some abdomen. There's the hip, the leg in the far back. I'm just going to put some shadow on that. Line weight's crucial when it comes to showing depth. So obviously the limbs and body parts in the front are going to get slightly darker treatment. I can move this down so you can see it. My hand shadow there. All right, there we go. So we can move on to the next one too. We're going to work on this one. This one's a really strange one. So we'll just play up this Silent Hill looking creature. Looks like these are some limbs coming off here. Don't really care about normal human fingers, but what I am intrigued about are those 4 legs right there, and I think I've done this on the channel before, where I showed 4 legs, but I don't really want to go into a lot of detail on that. I just want to establish a interesting silhouette. Kind of looks like a little mushroom right there, and that's the head. Does it have eyes? Probably not. More like a twisted soul. Okay, but I do want to play up sharp shapes. Okay, so we kind of did this super aggressive demonic entity right there on our left, but this one's going to be a little bit more subtle. So I think the big shape in the back, that's a big area, a lot of real estate to put some details on, so I'm just going to put some spikes and sharp shapes back there, because if this thing were ever to be taken to final and I paint that side, we don't really know if those are spikes, we don't really know if it's like hardened hair or just something weird. Okay. And I kind of want to go biomechanoid with this. I'll put some machine parts in there, maybe something along the lines of Doom or one of those demons in there. Not sure yet. That was a quick decision, so we'll see if that sticks. Maybe another little head poking out there. Speaking of head, That's the eyeball. There's the nose right there. Strange head, and then I'm just going to put some shading right here. There's the jaw. There's the ear. Hopefully you guys can see it now. And then I like the hair that I did in this one, so why don't we just do that? Just like really weird hair. And it looks like this character is turning its head to the side and it's kind of stretching that neck out. Ooh, man. Maybe that's like an underbite. There's so many weird things going on. Okay. Poor thing. Looks like it's in pain. Yeah, but maybe it's happy too. Who knows? All right, there we go. This is a lot of fun. So comment below and let me know what you're coming up with. Put some very subtle little spikes over here. There's the glute. I guess what would be equivalent to the glute. There we go, right like this. So even if you are not really feeling your designs, we're going to come back to each one and we're going to be putting in some newer details, but only near the facial region and maybe the hands, because there's a lot of character and a lot of gesture that can happen in the hands. You know, a lot of it has to do with the hips too, but you know, we're going to focus on the hands and see what happens. I can already tell that I'm actually not liking the hip region. I don't know why. Maybe it's because the legs feel too close together. Maybe I put too many legs. I just really like how I did this one. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to go back and shade where the knee and everything would be casting some shadow right there. Your little membrane, little pot belly, something fun. Okay, we'll probably come back to this. Well, we are going to come back to it, but we're going to go to triangle head here. Comment below and let me know what that reminds you of. Does it remind you of War of the Worlds? Because it kind of does. We're going to do something that... Oh, man. I hope I didn't ruin anything. Just get some really dominant shapes in here. Maybe these legs are close together. Okay, so... Oh, there we go. Now it's like one massive cowl with a little head poking up. That is what we're going to do, folks. That was totally random, and it just so happened to work. I got to sharpen my pencil. Okay, check this out. So we're going to do one little eye, and we're going to spread that one out a little bit. So two black eyes right there, and then we're just going to go right across. Kind of looks like this character is wearing headphones. Maybe it's one giant head, one skinny part of the head. There it is. And then, you know, it'd be funny. Long arms right there coming out. I mean, talk about a lot of possibilities here. That was a head right there, and I think it very well could be. Like a really scary, like stretched out face. There we go. It's like a total abomination. People have been messing with the Ouija board a little too much when this thing came out. See how I'm just exploring? That's what I want you guys to do when you're doing these characters. Just explore. Now, if I wanted to make this truly terrifying, a lot of it has to do with the eyes, yes, and the mouth and everything, and the way we spread the eyes apart, but also the types of hands that the creature has. So if the creature's hands come all the way down there, what if we just give it some really long, sharp claws? I think that'll help bring out the fear, or the fear factor of these designs. Now, this one, I do admit, I went pretty alien with it. Not really straight up horror, but I went alien. I mean, who isn't afraid of alien abductions and stuff? I did a video on that, by the way, those of you interested. Okay, but, you know, putting these sharp little shapes in here and uncertainty, there's a lot of danger happening, coupled with an alien design, then you have some nightmare fuel going. I'm going to get pretty dark right underneath this. Okay, there we go. I'm going to put tiny little feet just for fun. Maybe some claws at the end. Doesn't need to be big. All right, let's see what we can do next. So we're going to come back over and we're going to work specifically on this design. There's a lot of stuff happening in this mouth area that offer a lot of really cool possibilities. Now, a lot of this is dark, so I'm not going to try to force myself to bring out shapes, because once it's dark, you can't go light, and I don't want to use the eraser because then I'm just going to end up smearing the graphite, and that's one of the last things you'll ever want to happen. But instead, I'm taking up some of these open areas, tiny little open areas here and there, and I'm just going to put in indications of muscle, form. I'm going to try to bring the form out, actually. You know, because a lot of these hips and a lot of these joints, they're not well defined yet. You know, like the thigh in here, and we got your hip flexor region. So I'm just going to put in some shading, and like the knee, we don't really know what's going on with the knee, but we want a good silhouette. So I'll work on the edge of it. Okay, and then this thing isn't ripped by any means, so it doesn't need to have a ton of muscle striations and perfect anatomy in that. Now the foot and the leg and everything over here, you know, we've seen this in nature a lot with gazelle, greyhound dogs, you know, very lean type animals where every single tendon pops out of the leg. I happen to like that whenever I draw creatures, especially if it's a larger creature, but it has to be agile, because you would think, oh, this thing has to be in good shape in order to move quickly and to move that body. So those are my thought processes whenever I do that. I think I'm pretty happy with the legs. I don't need to get into a lot of detail, but one thing is for certain. We got to overlap. Maybe there's some very elongated claws coming out, almost like hair. Maybe I'll put a wrist in there. Yeah, that way there's some bone structure underneath all of these almost bamboo-like shoots coming off here. Because if I start dark, go to light, start dark, go to light, you'll see that shadow take place. You know, in this one, I want to show it off just a little more. Dark to light, dark to light, dark to light. Doesn't have to be fancy, everybody. Doesn't have to be. Remember, this is horror. We're building up atmosphere. Think about the atmosphere that this thing can have. Okay, so another thing that makes scariness happen: black nails, toenails, claws, and teeth. That always screams predator and otherworldly, but also no bright colors. So there's no mood setter in there other than black, sharp things that will hurt you. Pretty gnarly. Guess what? We're gonna move on to the next one. Let's go. Okay, this one, I already know I want that to be long, sharp, and unforgiving. So maybe just 2 fingers. It's almost like the hand has a dew claw. Okay, got that. Up here, I still don't know what's going on. Except for this creature could be smiling, but what if we just gave it some love? Put some indication for a mouth, jaw hinge popping out. Yeah, this could be like another face, like another growth or something. All right, it almost feels like this particular creature has some super large thighs, and then they just get skinnier down here by the feet. Now the feet themselves is going to be hidden behind all these other shapes for our first creature. Speaking of, let's number it. So this one's going to be number 2, and this one's going to be number 3. Okay. I like to circle them. Some people don't. Some people don't even like to number them. But I hope that you get into the habit of numbering them just so you can point them out easier. Okay, but the size of the thigh right here, I'm going to roll that basically like a big biped. It's like a werewolf. And that's all I'm going to put. I'm just going to have it be, I'm just going to have it be suggestive down there. Nothing set in stone. But I do like this hand. See how I'm just shading over top of the details that I put in there? Yeah, that's what you want to do. If you're confident in the details that you did put and the lines are light, I would do that. All right, and then maybe slight cast shadow of the arm. Hard to say what this creature is and what its story is. Doesn't look very unhappy, but could be. I don't know. I think what I'm going to do is just draw very ambiguous, sharp shapes coming out of the face. Like that's pretty terrifying. I'm just going to keep that. Last but not least, we're going to work on our multi-headed alien friend here with our weird little hat, our apparatus, little ear here. So comment below and give me a backstory on each one of these. Does it look like something for Dark Souls? Does it look like something that you would put in your D&D campaign? Just have fun with it. Have you dreamt about something like this before? I mean, that'd be terrifying. You know, I get asked often, are my dreams like this? That's why I draw like that. The truth is, they used to be when I was younger, but I don't have dreams with horrific beasts. I mean, I just had a dream last night that I was being chased by a great white, but that doesn't count because, you know, I haven't even watched Jaws in a while, so I wasn't even thinking of that. So I can keep going on this, but I'm going to let the imagination fill in the rest. So little spikes here and there will keep intrigue. It will keep interest in this creature. There we go, like that. And you can see the very long legs. Maybe there's even a robe. You know, if there's a robe, we wouldn't even need to worry about it. Need to worry about it at all. I mean, you didn't expect for me to kick you out of here and not do some details. I mean, what kind of teacher would I be? We're jumping in here and we are doing some details. So the way I like to focus on these details, especially when we have so many different things happening, I mean, look at all of the different squiggle marks and all that cool stuff. Well, try to pick out areas that are standing out to you. See all these dark areas? And then right next to them are these open white spots. If we can extract some shapes, you know, excavate, then maybe we can pull something else out. Now the core shadow is going to be on our far left, and we're just going to darken that edge and we're going to fade it towards our right. Right, like this. And what that does is it helps ground the creature. It helps give a nice silhouette even amongst all of the chaos. And we can run that up all the way up here and then kind of fade off the gradient just to keep things interesting. Like down here in the thighs where the calf would be, you know, maybe some of the creature is already casting a shadow on that specific region. And I think this arm is going to need a lot more love because it's the closer one to us, and we don't need to put in a ton of detail on the other arm. That would be overkill. Okay, that's good enough. But like this one, we can get even bigger and then maybe put some sharp shapes in there. But if I shade it in, like so, and then maybe come down in front of everything to where it's the darkest. It's even darker than the toenails down here. Then there's immediate depth. Start dark to light. Add in those shapes. Okay, there we go. It's really coming together. And then the cast shadow in the armpit, our favorite little region right there. You know, we have that too. All right. Horror creature number 2. Okay, we got some big forearm muscle with no bicep whatsoever. I'll sharpen the pencil again. So I'm going to put darker areas in places where it's losing itself against the scribbles. So like in here, we don't know where the arm is. If we darken that and maybe put a shadow behind the arm as it's coming up, there we go. That's how we did it. This looks like a separate limb. So maybe there's 4 altogether. These 2 are in the front. Okay, there we go. This whole thing over here is disgusting. It could be like a growth or something. That'd be kind of neat. Do a lot of detail in that one. Some veins. But man, you know where I really want to get details is that neck region. I think it made it scarier by putting in the black for the head. And I was not thinking of Predator while doing this. I was just thinking it was like a really creepy demon that has a disproportionate head that, you know, walk around and I'll hurt you. Okay, there's that. Then we can move on to this one. So when it comes to this one, I actually don't want to put detail anywhere else other than the head over here. But you could do some really cool stuff, almost ornamental. Because I get the feeling that this particular creature is a deity and has a little bit more influence on things, a little bit more magic. Something really cool. And then down here, digitally, after scanning this in, I would put a little white speck right there just for a specular highlight. See those little black lines right there? Those could be arms for the alien. Maybe it has a tail in there. I don't know.